Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Module 3 of Office Management, and in this module, we're going to focus on communication in the office. If you remember back to Module 1, we talked about communication skills being one of the very top skills that employers are looking for when they look to hire administrative assistants and office professionals, okay? It is important, so important that you understand the importance of good, clear, professional communication. Everywhere I have ever worked, when you do like the assessment of what do we need to improve, everyone always says communication. It's always listed because you can always improve on communication. Everybody needs to be growing and stretching themselves in this area all the time. As an administrative professional, ensuring clear communication between people and departments is going to be a very critical part of your job. They are going to depend on you to make sure that both ends of who is communicating is understanding what's happening very often. Okay, so you really need to have a good grasp on this skill. Okay, so we're going to break down a few areas that you'll be using as communication in a real office setting. First of all, verbal communication. That's sort of the original tool, right, is our voice. One of the most important habits you can develop in verbal communication is actually listening, active listening. That means that you are fully present in the conversation, that you're not, they're talking at you, but you're doing other things in your mind. We've all done it, but it's not a good communication skill. You're focused, you're paying attention, you're not thinking about your response. That's hard sometimes while the other person is talking. You're truly listening to understand. This is so important because misunderstandings in the workplace often happen not because someone didn't speak clearly, but because someone didn't listen carefully. And we know this. We've seen this in our personal lives. Have you ever been in an argument with a significant other and neither of you are listening to the words that are coming out of the other person's mouth, right? You're not trying to hear and understand. You're listening to find the thing you can take to use your next point because you want to win this argument. And so then the argument goes nowhere good, right? It doesn't work out well. And the same thing can happen in the workplace. It's usually less dramatic because there's not quite so much emotion involved, but you can see communication completely break down because people are not listening to hear. They are listening to respond. So be sure you are a good active listener and that you're very clear and concise in your verbal communication. You are also very likely to engage in telephone communication. Oftentimes, these positions are the person who answers the phone. And I know that seems very basic, and it is verbal communication, but it's sort of a slightly different variety of verbal communication, right? And we now live in a texting world where when I was a young adult and a teenager, we spent a lot of time actually speaking to each other on a telephone. And I do it this way because it was a telephone you had to pick up. We live in a texting world now. We live in a digital communication world now. People are not as practiced on speaking on the telephone as they used to be. But phone skills are still incredibly important in an office setting because people still call offices often, all the time. And they are really important, again, if you're going to be the person who answers the phone. When you answer the phone at a business, your voice is sometimes the first impression someone has of that business or organization. So things like your tone, your pace, and how clearly you speak really matter. I have to watch myself. Y'all been watching a couple of videos now, so you understand I have a tendency to get rolling and speak really, really fast. Not everybody can always understand that on the telephone because it helps when you can see people's faces and hands and mouths moving. You pick up on some cues of what's happening, even if they get to going a little too quickly. On the phone, all you have is the voice. You need to have, when you answer the phone at work, a simple, standard, professional greeting, something you say all the time. Welcome to Manoa College. This is Leah Morales. How may I help you? Something like that. That sets the tone right away. From there, your goal is to listen, respond clearly, and make sure that the caller gets what they need, whether it's information, an appointment, or to be transferred. It's often going to be to be transferred, but they may not know when they call who they need to be transferred to. We find that a lot at Panola. We'll answer the phone and they will go off on a long tale that you can't help them with, but you need to listen and commiserate and then say, let me get you to so-and-so or something like that, okay? Remember to always be as polite as possible. Don't just say, hold, please, click. You need to say things like, is it okay if I put you on hold? It's more personal. It accomplishes the same thing. They're not going to say no. It accomplishes the same thing. Don't say, oh, I'm going to transfer you. Say, it sounds like you need to speak with so-and-so. Is it all right if I transfer you now? Okay. If they have questions you need to follow up on and then call back, repeat things to them so you make sure you understand what they need to know, get them their information, and then make sure you call them back. This will build credibility for you, and it will build credibility for your organization. A little bit of above and beyond on the phone can greatly improve the image of your company, right? We've all called customer service and had a bad experience, and it gave us a bad sense of the entire organization, though that may have been unfair, right? And you don't want to be the office professional hurting your company's image on the phone, okay? Now let's look at written communication. I would say that email is probably the most often used communication tool in an office. And it is also one of the easiest places to make mistakes, right? You have to think about a good email and what it looks like. Our assignment is going to touch on that this week. A good email is going to start with a clear subject line so they can tell immediately what this email is about before they even start to read. That way they immediately know the purpose of the message, and it will help people who are inundated with emails to go, I need to read this one right now. This one can wait. This one right now. This one can wait. That's what a good subject line is for. Then make sure you keep your message clear and organized. Use short paragraphs, be direct, and always maintain a professional tone. Most of the time, an email is not the time for a novel. It's the time for the information they have to have, okay? Always proofread before you send. I cannot stress this enough. We have all sent out emails with errors, but poorly written emails can damage your professional image, okay? Because I've sent emails with typos in them, and I've also heard comments from people about when someone sent out like a mass email and it had typos in it. So just make sure you double check, because if it's too off, you're going to create confusion. It might lead to lost opportunities, and it just really hurts your professional image. So take that extra minute to check that your message is what you're really intending to send out. Okay, one other thing to really remember with written communication is that tone is hard to translate, right? And we've all had that because, like I said, we live in a texting world. You can't hear someone's tone through written communication. It's not a good place for jokes or sarcasm, especially in the workplace where you're emailing people you may not know really well, right? I text people all the time who know me really well. And in those written communications, I throw in some of the dry, wry Leo wit that I am known for. Because when they're reading my text, what are you doing when you're reading somebody you know's text? You're hearing it in their voice, right? You're hearing it in their tone, and you understand what they're saying. I do not throw Leah humor into professional emails to people who do not know me very well, because it might come off as me being snarky, and I don't want that. That's not my intent, and it has no place in a professional communication. You just need to always remember professional tone and obvious politeness is very, very important with written communication. Now, your module is also going to give you some information on web conferencing, which has its own sort of list of rules and is only going to become a larger part of the workplace as technology expands and the world gets smaller. It talks about managing mail. I know in your personal life, snail mail may not play a huge role. I remember when it did. I remember when getting the mail was an issue, and now I know that I can forget to get my mail all week and not really have missed anything, okay? But snail mail is still usually a part of offices, especially depending on the type of business. You may be receiving and sending packages all the time, and so you need to understand how to do that properly, efficiently, effectively, and professionally, okay? Now, your assignment this week is going to be to send me a professional email. I know it's tempting. I say this every week, Tom. I know it's tempting to chat GPT, this type of assignment, but I've been teaching for just this long now, and I can already tell you when everybody chat GPTs the assignment, everybody sends me the same assignment. So please don't do that. I don't want an identical email from everyone. I'm going to be able to piece that together, okay? I want you to do well. This is something where you do want to make sure that you have your grammar correct, your spelling is correct, because that's what I'm looking for. Can you send a professional email and make sure that you have handled all of those things so that if it goes to your boss, you're not embarrassed the next morning when you wake up and look at it again and realize you used THEY''re when you meant THEIR or such a thing. Okay. So that's going to be your assignment for this week. You have your quiz as you do in every module. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Good luck with all of this, and I will see you in Module 4.